everybody. The hush falls over the crowd. Lovely to see you all. Welcome to the Midstream Reading Series. I'm Marg Walker. All right, so now I need to check on this.
Yeah, you need it.
Yeah.
A little louder.
More. All right. All right. There was a little, oh yeah, thank you.
That's good.
We are glad you're here in a beautiful, oh, I can even hear myself.
Good.
Is that better?
That's better.
Better? All right,
Yeah,
good.
you don't have to lean into it at all.
And I don't have to lean in. We are in for a treat tonight. We have 4 readers, as always, and I think their work is quite different among the 4 of them. So I'm looking forward to hearing all of them. Just a couple of housekeeping things. If you are not familiar with the building, restroom is around, head outside and down the hall. It's on your right, very easy to find. Let's see, I was also going to say, this room sometimes gets really hot. It may not tonight because we're not packed in. And it can get noisy out there. So we always have a little dance of this. Should the door be closed against the noise or open for circulation or what? So any of you who are sitting on the edge and are having trouble hearing or whatever you want to do, please feel free to help with that little housekeeping task. We're recording tonight as always, and this program will be on our website for you to look at later, along with all of the others that we've done for many years. Books are on the side table from a couple of our readers tonight, so hope you'll have a chance to peruse those as well. Let's see. What else do I need to say? Oh, I'm going to send around a sign-up sheet. If you're not currently on our mailing list and would like to be, let us know your email. We send out notices about when these readings will be held, and that's all we do with the mailing list. So we won't bug you about anything else. I think I recognize most of you though, so maybe it'll come back blank. All right. I'm going to lead off with a poem that I actually wrote in somebody's class who's sitting here. And that is in my new book. It's called, it's dedicated to my parents. It's called Sheepdog Years. I came by breeding to the far meadow, where sheep, as they will, milled, bewildered, ruminant, insatiable. My tender lambs strayed like thoughts across the thistled fields. I knew the names of each danger, howl and blizzard, fur and wire. I kept them at bay. I heard sounds in the night I could ignore, and silences I could not, close as they were. I rested on the ridge where I could see great distances and all wanderings, where I could run as if free, my lean body rinsed with clean air and the scent of flowers unattainable below. When the storm came, there was more of everything, sky, harsh wind, a wildness in the eyes of those who needed me. Then the circles of my running grew small and smaller, until the gate swung shut and left me with an emptiness. All right, and now for the real deal, the reason you've come. Our first reader tonight is Barry MacDonald, and he goes by the Dharma name Takan. Did I say that right, Barry? Mm-hmm. Takan, which means Iron Man in 13th century Japanese. Takan indicates a settled practitioner of great determination. He was given this name when he took his Buddhist vows. Barry lived in Japan for 9 years, teaching English at the Berlitz Corporation in Kyoto. He practiced Zen at Hoshinji, a Zen temple in Obama, a small town on the coast of the Sea of Japan. Barry is the president of the Cracked Walnut branch of Twin Cities Poets and Writers Group and has written 70 books. He was the featured poet in the 2022 volume of Startled by Laughter, New Poetry in Traditional Forms, and was in the top 10 of 2,000 poets published by the first issue of Maple Staple in a literary contest in 2023. He has also been published in numerous anthologies, including Agates, Rewilding Hope, The Nations Underground, Writing with Our Ancestors, and Little by Little, The Bird Builds Its Nest. Welcome, Barry.
coming. It's a great gift to have readers to practice your stuff on, so that you don't do it in solitude and imagine that you're something that you're not. A couple days ago, I was recovering from prostate surgery, which may be more than you want to know, but I got a call in the middle of the afternoon. Some group called Writers' Rights in Texas. They scouted the book, and they want to be my go-between between agents and booksellers. So this is the book I'm going to read from tonight. It's my 71st. And I write on Buddhist themes, and for a Buddhist, the goal is to wake up from the self-hypnosis that we impose upon ourselves, the running narrative that's always going, and it cannot be beaten. You just have to live with it until you see through it. And so the sky is a great metaphor. And the clouds are like thoughts. That's the consciousness. That is the ego. But there is the empty sky. And that is the bare awareness that lies always underneath what is. And so I try to describe what goes on in the daily life of consciousness. And the first poem is Lift. My ideas come from an empty head. A noggin may be a turbulent stew. Epiphany decides where I am led. I remember the words I sadly said, troubled by opinions I thought were true. My ideas come from an empty head. Many long decades my ego has bled. Belligerent notions form in a queue. Epiphany decides where I am led. Hints of the possible quietly spread. Wind in the leaves is a curious clue. My ideas come from an empty head. With a peaceful resonance, I am fed. With a burst of energy that's impromptu, epiphany decides where I am led. With whimsical humor I may be shed of a downhearted view that I construe. My ideas come from an empty head. Epiphany decides where I am led. That was a villanelle. This next one is a terzarima sonnet. Terzarima is the form that Dante used. Float. Trouble is bred in a frenetic head. Motives are jumbled in a bubbled stew. Unease is exposed in words that are said with doubtful opinions I think are true. The dread in my tread resembles lead. To be discouraged is easy to do. I could watch the pace of a cloud instead. The transformative sky is not askew. With a cloud I become a featherhead. To play with words is a boogaloo. With a flopperoo passion I am fed. To frolic syllables is daring do. Honeydew rhythm and rhyme may be spread. Glue of a sticky sorrow may be shed. These next two are sonnets. Move. Glue of a sticky sorrow may be shed. Relaxation is an unconscious art that heals the bloody splinters in a heart. I recall accusative words I said. A stab of memory is in my head. Every forgotten battle plays a part. A graceful posture is a martial art. With a spread of appetite I am fed. I am misled, but what I'm sure is true. Leaves and breeze is ethereal sound. Pace of a cloud is metamorphosis. Its bright feathery movement is a clue. A ceaseless, edgeless frolic is profound. The panorama is easy to miss. Pace. With a spread of appetite I am fed, but it doesn't do me any good to punish or condemn myself, but instead I am slyly flexible, gentle, to quiet the ephemera in my head. It is important that what I say or do arises from a habitual thread of relaxation. Yeah, life is a slew of disappointments. No matter how smart I am with good intentions, I beclown myself again as my noggin and heart play a tug of war with questions profound. The panorama is easy to miss. Pace of a cloud is metamorphosis. This next one's a rondu. Rondo. The breeze. Have you ever noticed the breeze in the leaves in the spring? I've always considered that breeze, especially after a winter, to be like this chorus of peacefulness that nobody pays attention to, but it's always there. All you have to do is direct yourself towards it, and it can transport you. Reprieve, the breeze in the leaves is a gentle tease. Subtle harmony is a ceaseless weave, apart from the clamor of human thought. In a knot of thought a person is caught, while the music of peace the leaves conceive. With the leaves a heart may quietly grieve, a vicious voice may easily deceive. A gentle tease is the leaves in the breeze. Labyrinth of reason may quickly clot, aggrieved confusion is an afterthought. Paradox rises in what we believe. Listen to the leaves for a quiet reprieve. The leaves in the breeze is a quiet tease. Okay, and I'm going to read a sestina. If you don't know what a sestina is, 6 words are repeated 7 times, and 2 of my words are of and through, and they make great transitions into the next line. It's a grammatical trick to use those words. Hinge. To a finish, each cloud must persevere. Does a puff of vapor exercise choice? Clouds are visible only in daylight. A field of cirrus ambles at midnight. We possess a partial perception of the weave of the cosmos that's channeled through. A glimpse of insight formulated through personality, trained to persevere, yet forgetful, weary, unmindful of how a life of drama limits our choice, hemmed by a simmer of dreams at midnight, responsive to our urges in daylight. We are habituated to daylight, unconscious of the massive process through which the elements mingle at midnight. A burn of energy must persevere, epitomized by an absence of choice. Oceans evaporate to a sky of receptivity, to an advance of possibility. We see in daylight. Does spontaneity hinge on a choice? Does poised clarity arise to choose through awakened direction, to persevere in elation in eternal midnight? The stars move in perpetual midnight, impersonal, an immensity of odd, mysterious fact. To persevere, immediately disguised by daylight. A determined human must muddle through. Are you happy with your lifetime of choice? What may you do with a turn of choice? Cosmic biology breathes at midnight. Immediacy of now exists through a play of eons, a frolic of liveliness in our seasons of daylight. Winter, spring, summer, autumn, persevere. How much of the cosmos may shift through choice? A body must persevere at midnight, seize the chance to make the most of daylight. Sonnet. Cosmic eye. We each have the gift of a cosmic eye, alive to a periphery of space, embodied inside a gradual pace. A whiff of cloud may personify, a peaceable day may revivify, rejuvenate me with whimsical grace. As I know the cloud is a vibrant trace of oceanic depth. to signify a curious, beauteous buoyancy. At any moment of the day I may evade my compulsivity and grow. I may use a cloud to encourage me, to enjoy a light-hearted repartee with a cloudy mountain of sunny glow. Okay, and I will close with what I call a doodle poem. I go through all the vowels in rhymes. Say, hey, on a day with much glee, I may see in the sky a cloud fly away. Oh, I may glow. Also, you could choose to too. Yes? Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Our next reader is Linny Siems. She's a spiritual director who practices her calling through body work as a massage therapist. So you can line up at the end of the evening. She's been self-employed since 1981. Her work has her listening deeply to people's stories, helping guide her hands to align with and reflect on what she's hearing. Her writing began innocently enough when approached by the editor of Cairns, the Unity Church Journal of the Arts, to submit a story. After proclaiming she's not a writer, that belief quickly changed once she decided to give it a try. All that happened 15 years ago. The writing experience was new and challenging because she changed roles and became not the story listener, but the storyteller. She chose to write memoir as a gift to her 2 daughters and has been contributing to Cairns every year since. Welcome, Linny.
Thank you, Marg. You said it all. I think. No, I mean, that's really how it all started. And I am thrilled to be here and honored to be reading with the other 3 folks tonight. I thought memoir might be something that I know about versus the other kinds of writing. So these are 2 of my stories. Where was I on my 19th birthday? Summer 1969. I still vividly remember the day my younger sister Carol called, excited about attending an upcoming concert with a long list of bands, playing music for 3 days in upstate New York. She wanted me to join her. My first response was, OMG, she wants to be with me? Then she said, you have a car. I have 4 guys lined up to fill it. So do you want to drive? My ego took a slight hit, but I bounced back with a yes, in part because of the groups that would be at the concert. Joan Baez, Canned Heat, Arlo Guthrie, Richie Havens, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Sly and the Family Stone, The Who. I was pumped. We were part of only a handful of people who actually bought tickets. We waited for the tickets to arrive in the mail, and they came just in time for us to drive there for the start. 3 of the guys were older than me, and the 4th was 14. I was 18, and even though Carol was 15, she was much older than me in most ways. The guys didn't all know each other, so we met for the first time when I showed up in my copper-colored Chevy 2 Nova. We packed the car to the gills with sleeping bags and backpacks. I can admit this now. I packed a suitcase. As we approached the concert area, there were miles of cars and miles to go before we got to the site. At this point, 2 things became clear to me. I needed to take out my contact lenses, and I needed to leave my suitcase in the car. We parked the car, grabbed the bare minimum needed, and off we went on foot. Some folks who lived there watched sternly with arms crossed as we walked by, but most were amazingly generous, shouting encouraging words or offering cookies. Their warm welcome and goodwill felt genuine. The first day there, Carol and I lost all the guys we came with. We were on our own for the next 3 days. Memories of Friday, August 15th to Sunday, August 17th. We spent the first night in the rain, soaking into the mud. Somehow I lost my sleeping bag. A big bottle of wine would come from one direction. I would take a swig and pass it along in the other direction. Full disclosure, I took my first illegal drug, a bit of hashish, and passed out on the spot. My sister, quite embarrassed and not pleased, couldn't rouse me. A man wearing nothing but a top hat danced wildly through the crowd. One minute I had on my favorite Mexican poncho, given to me by a boyfriend in high school. Next minute I had no idea where it was. I wore a big plastic garbage bag in the pouring rain while listening to Joe Cocker from the third row. I have no idea who owned the tent, but I woke up in it with Carol at sunrise to hear Jimi Hendrix playing the most amazing guitar. On Monday, the concert ended and the whole place cleared out, almost. Carol and I actually found our 4 traveling companions. One of the guys named Leo and I volunteered to go get the car. On the way, we passed a lake on skinny dipping. Back in my Chevy 2 Nova, we picked up a hitchhiker named Kit Carson, who was short, slight of build, and striking with a full head of wavy black hair and a big black mustache. He lived in New York City, right by Central Park, and he invited us to stay with him in an apartment that he shared with his dad. His dad was a spitting image of Kit, only with gray hair and mustache instead of black. Their apartment was big and sparsely furnished with a table, a couple of chairs, and floor-length red velvet curtains on all the windows. I'm not certain how long we stayed there. We spent one afternoon passing the time in Central Park on a big rock, watching an unusual and beautiful bug on my knee for a very long time, while in an altered state. In the evening, when it was time for dinner, the cupboards were bare, and the fridge contained one open can of tuna fish for their cat. Kit's dad pulled out a wad of bills, handed us a couple of $100, and said, "Go buy dinner, I'd love spaghetti." We all dutifully went in search of groceries and wine, pitched in to create a fantastic dinner, and sat down on the floor for our feast. We took another detour to Philadelphia to stay with the 14-year-old's brother, but that's another story for another time. In Ohio, I was stopped on the freeway by a Barney Fife-type cop. He sauntered up to the car and he said, "All right, everybody out." We did, as we were told. Then he said, "Now, open the trunk." As I did, he reeled backwards with the overpowering smell of musty and moldy sleeping bags, clothes, shoes, and various other items. "All right, close the trunk." When he asked for my driver's license, I saw that it had expired. At that moment, I realized I had spent my 19th birthday with 500,000 people on the last day of the concert. Barney said, "I'm going west and you're going west, and I better not see you driving again." One of the guys did the rest of the driving. Bless Leo's heart for playing his kazoo, which kept the driver and all of us awake for most of the drive home. We 6 went our separate ways, and other than my sister, I never thought about seeing these guys again. 10 years later, I handed a cashier at Seward Co-op my check. He looked at it and he asked, "Do you have a sister named Carol?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I went to a concert in 1969 with you." I said, "Leo?" He nodded, we hugged. He lives less than 10 blocks from me, and we have been in each other's lives ever since. Sometime in the 90s, I saw an ad for a poetry reading by Thomas R. Smith at Orr Books on Hennepin Avenue. I wondered, how many Thomas R. Smiths are there in the world? I called the bookstore and asked them to please write a note to the poet saying, "If you went to the concert in 1969, call Linny." I left my phone number. He did, and he did. And we have been in contact ever since. Now we have reunions every couple of years, mostly in August, to celebrate the anniversary. If you were to witness one, you would hear us play the Who Remembers game. And it goes something like this. "Where did we leave from? Did you pick me up or did I come to you?" Not one of us remembers. "Who drove on the way out? When we stopped for gas, who paid?" "I didn't have any money." "Well, neither did I." "Well, nobody had credit cards back then." "Did you hear this group? That group? Do you remember where you were when they were on stage? Was it raining? Lightning?" No one's quite sure, but we think we have a pretty good memory of the music. We must have eaten at the festival. What did we eat? Where did we eat? Did you eat every day? No one except Mikey, the 14-year-old growing boy, remembers anything about food. I don't remember going to the bathroom once in the whole weekend. Do you? Thomas R. has his original ticket, and the the special delivery envelope it came in, and a program in mint condition that he passes around at the reunions. Apparently, programs were all over the ground the last day, and he tucked a copy safely in his backpack. He says these possessions are his retirement fund. Another of us recalled a time when life as usual would be putting on a t-shirt and jeans, grabbing a couple of bucks, heading out the door to be gone for days without a second thought, with folks we had never met, and no plan of action. Now, to go anywhere, he has to have a clear calendar, at least 1 cup of coffee, a good amount of cash, plus a credit card, gas in the tank, charged cell phone, and the proper shoes and dress with a jacket and a hat as backup. And he must tell everyone important in his life where he's going and when he intends to be back. When we gather, we recall an event whose time won't come again. We know that we were part of something big, but even with input from each one of us, we can't put it all together. To this day, over 40, 50 years later, I can see and feel the impression made on anyone of any age when I say, I was at Woodstock. Reaching back to my youth, searching for Dr. Schimmelfinnig 67 years later. I can remember my doctors at Children's Hospital, maybe because I was there for a long time. They were Dr. Longtie, Dr. Bowtie, Dr. Crewcut, and Dr. Goodlooking. I was often sick as a child. My parents brought me to different doctors and specialists over the years. None of them found any reason for my ongoing illness. When I was 5 years old, I was a patient at Children's Hospital of Minneapolis. The doctors there removed my appendix and performed exploratory surgery on me. Again, nothing. With growing concern, my parents took me to see Dr. Schimmelfinnig. He asked them, "What is your home environment?" This is what they told him. My parents owned a bar in Cumberland, Wisconsin. They lived in one of the 2-bedroom apartments above the bar. My mom and dad had their room, and my older sister had her room. My dad lost his mother in childbirth with his youngest sister. Never really knowing his mother, on the day of his father-in-law's funeral, he said to his mother-in-law, "Sophie, you'll always have a room with us." He had never consulted my mom before offering this invitation. My grandmother sold her home and moved in with our family. My sister lost her bedroom at the age of 3. My mother was grieving the loss of her father, living with her mother by default, and 1 month pregnant with me. After I was born, I shared my grandmother's room and her double bed when I was older. My grandmother had been through a nervous breakdown, electric shock treatments, and was depressed. She had a habit of favoring one child in each family, and she chose me in our family. Like her husband, I had red hair, and this had a lot to do with her strong attachment to me. We were inseparable. Her friends were pretty much my only friends. I served them at tea parties and pretend tea parties, and she would push me in my stroller all over town. She was my second mother, and I loved her fiercely. I'm empathetic to the point that we would sit in our respective rocking chairs and put our hands over our lower abdomens and rub them back and forth as we rocked and rocked. I took her medicine at the same time she did, although a smaller amount. It was yellow liquid, and I bet I could pick it out in a taste lineup to this day. Dr. Schimmelfinnig said one thing after he heard the story: "Get her out of that room. Don't come back to see me until you do." To my parents' credit, they made changes. They redid the layout of the apartments, allowing us to have 3 bedrooms and the other apartment 1 bedroom. I do not remember Dr. Schimmelfinnig, only hearing his name and the instructions he gave my parents. With COVID isolation and no work in over 2 years, I had been going through all the piles of papers that had collected over the years. I had saved an article in the Star Tribune from November 16, 2013, that mentioned a woman named Diane Schimmelfinnig. Finally, at age 72, I saw his name in writing and knew how to spell it. Excited with my new find, I knew I needed to follow up on this lead, my only lead, to try to find my doctor. My search began June 16th. I called for Diane and learned from her daughter that they were not related to Dr. Schimmelfinnig. My dad was from Chaska, and my parents lived in Shakopee before moving to Cumberland, So I started with Shakopee City Hall and Scott County Government Center. I needed a complete name and date of birth for these two places, and I had neither. Next, I tried Scott County Historical Society, where I could do a surname search if I came into their facility and did it myself, or they could do it for me and not charge if they found nothing. They would charge $15 an hour for their search, which would be capped out at 1 hour before they contact me to see if I wanted to pursue any further. It took 2 to 3 weeks to search requests. I agreed to their conditions and waited patiently. They sent his obituary and an article about the hospitals and boards on which he served. Trying my luck online, I typed in Schimmelfinnig and came up with quite a few possibilities, the best of which was a woman named Krista Schimmelfinnig. She was not related either, but knew of a park named after him in Chaska. When I Googled Schimmelfinnig Park, the first article written pointed me to a second article which mentioned Chaska Historical Society. Bingo. Barb at the Historical Society knew of him, that he had practiced in Chaska, and that Tracy, another staff person, would know if there were any living relatives. Barb sent her a message. Finally, I was given his information. George Theodore Schimmelfinnig, born March 4th, 1903, died March 13th, 1990. Daughter, Catherine. I was given her mailing address. Armed with her mailing address, I sent Catherine a 2-page handwritten letter about how, after seeing several doctors, her dad was the only one that actually helped me get well. I pulled out all the stops and told her the Chaska address of where my dad's family had lived, my aunts' names and their occupations, and the names of my cousins who might be more her age. This time I waited less patiently for a reply because I felt so close. After 1 month, I called Barb again and was given the phone number of the facility where the daughter lived. The staff there told me that Catherine was in assisted living and was quite capable of responding to a letter or a phone call, and would I like her direct phone number? I could barely believe my good fortune. Catherine was a delight. Though 91, she had a lovely, youthful laugh and was very upbeat. She received my letter and was sorry she had not replied. She had meant to, and her life got carried away. She was in a wheelchair and not able to get out. Her son was in the background helping her with words. She would love to meet me. Please come out to Chaska so we can talk, she said. Her dad died over 30 years ago, and she couldn't believe it. Life keeps going on, doesn't it? She thanked me. We met on September 16th, exactly 3 months after my search began. Her son David and my daughter Willie joined us. We were all together for 2 hours. The time flew by. We covered a gamut of topics as if we had always been close friends. Catherine's family and my dad's family lived across the alley and 1 house down from each other. One piece of the puzzle fell into place, how my parents found him in the first place. My Aunt Helen was an excellent cook and baker, and she brought loaves of bread to Catherine's home. Catherine remembered my Aunt Louise, taught at the Lutheran school and was an excellent seamstress. She knew my cousins. Our families were close. Dr. Schimmelfinnig was chief of staff at Idle Hospital in Minneapolis. He had a practice in Chaska and was on staff at the hospital in Shakopee. Being a doctor truly was his vocation and calling. He cared for patients into his 80s out of his house and made house calls on New Year's Eve. He was empathetic with patients. He had a dry sense of humor and was a vaudeville kind of guy. He went out of his way to get children to laugh when he worked in pediatrics, showing pictures of totally unrelated subjects or objects to distract the kids from what he was doing. And Dr. Schimmelfinnig loved a deal. One day he saw a 4-foot stuffed dog on sale that he got for his grandson David, who had stepped away. As Grandpa sat in the waiting area with a dog in the seat next to him, people gathered around. When David came back and saw the huge crowd around Grandpa, he thought something bad had happened. Turned out that all the people were Dr. Schimmelfinnig's patients. One man had his pants pulled down and was showing Grandpa the scar on his upper leg. Do you remember this, Doc? My daughter and Catherine's grandson asked me why I had contacted her. My heart had been needing to express deep gratitude to all those who cared for me and helped shape who I have become. Once I saw his name in print, everything in me focused on finding a living relative to whom I could offer my profound thanks. I can't know what my path might have been if my parents had never gotten his counsel. He was holistic in his approach to health and well-being, and he saw me at a very critical time in my life. His wisdom helped me to know what I know about energy and the transference of energy from spending so much time with my grandmother, and about the critical part environment played in family dynamics and medical practices. With my daughter as witness and a part of this gathering, meeting his living relatives, crying and laughing with them, finding our less than 6 degrees of connection, taking pictures and honoring Dr. Schimmelfinnig by thanking them in person, a huge weight was lifted from my heart. While I hugged Catherine, her grandson told my daughter, Willie, that Catherine was in hospice. My handwritten letter to her was there in the living room, and he said how much it had meant to her to receive it at this time. There are no coincidences. Catherine passed on January 15th, exactly 4 months after we met.
Thank you, Linny. Our next reader is Ann Piper. She lives in St. Paul, Minnesota, where one of her poems is stamped into a few sidewalks. I bet I've read it. I've probably read it 100 times. She has an MFA from Hamline University and an MA in Human Development from St. Mary's University. Ann provides quality improvement services for homes of people who have disabilities. Her poems have appeared in Waterstone, Poetry East, Black Warrior Review, Sleet, the New York Quarterly, the Under Review, and other journals. She's working on a book. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you all for being here on such a nice night, late summer night. And thank you, Marg, for inviting me. Last time I read for Midstream was during the pandemic, and I live streamed from my kitchen table. So I'm glad to be here with all of you tonight. My first poem that I'll read is You're the Big Prize. Let the holy reach you now. Pay attention as it touches you like a hesitant lover. Hesitant because it can hardly believe such luck. You, the virgin bride, the carnival ride, the yet to decide anything about God, other than you want one, to heft you onto broad shoulders, carry you home like some prize, for tossing rings on bottles or breaking plates with baseballs. God the good shot, God with infallible aim, God a little high on life on one of God's happier days. This is a new poem that I wrote a few weeks ago called It's Hard to Be a Human, which is very true right now. But it's hard to be a human. You know this, of course. Maybe you're zipping along in the titanium wheels of your antidepressants and familial love with a loyal pet and friends, food, shelter, income, output. You're healthy and strong as an ox in a box. And good for you if you are. Good for you. But the bigger world and that thing inside you that makes you care, surge in the chest, the rump, and all your gizmos binging bad news if you let them. You want to be bigger, better, a brand new car of a person. But meanwhile, capital S suffering smacking you in the face again and again, like a gleeful fourth grader at the pole and your head the tetherball. Wham, wham, whammity wham. You tell yourself it's good for you to know about strangers' pain, though you feel helpless. And when, I ask you, was that ever good? So you send in cash and make some calls and stomp around with your sign in a crowd. And what else can you do? I'm asking, what else are we supposed to do? This is a true story about my mom. She's 92, called Nash Rambler. Yesterday, Mom waited all day for her dead aunts to take her somewhere. She didn't know where. Kept looking down the street she can't see for Myrtle's green car. I half hoped it was true. Myrtle as Karen, ferrying Mom down the streets of Duluth in her Nash Rambler, off to the afterlife after shopping and lunch, and maybe a stroll down the pier. Is that betrayal? She had wanted to live to 100, would look you right in the eyes and say it with great cheer and daring do. That was before dementia made a feast of her and began to chew and chew and chew. So you've had the phrase daring do twice tonight, Mary as well. How often does that happen? This is a poem of single-line stanzas. I'm pretty sure that's called monostitch. It's to my mentor in college at St. Mary's College back then, but St. Mary's University now in Winona, Arthur Spring. Missive to a departed mentor for Arthur Spring, 1938 to 2008. Global warming has become global boiling, the UN secretary says. Mom sobs a little on the phone. The futility of trying to save a wounded bird. She's 20 years older than you ever were. The landscape crackles when we look at it. It's as if we thought things would take care of themselves. Lightning is hotter than the surface of the sun. I say dementia, but I mean dying. Honey never rots. It's as if we've forgotten our obligation to time. You can hear a blue whale's heartbeat from more than 2 miles away, if you're underwater. Arthur, I picture your heart bursting on the steps of Old Main. Weed, when you're anxious, makes you more anxious. We're certainly not having fun down here. I know if the dead could change things, you would have by now. Light from the sun is more than 8 minutes old. What gets lost to shadow? I say change, but I mean cure. It's what we do down here, Arthur. Learn very slowly. This one was in Waterstone Journal last year out of Hamlin University. Already all the ghosts. Not that everyone's dead yet, but memories as ghosts. Too many holding sway and everywhere. The way perfume in one room drifts to the others, or ink dropped in water diffuses. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm hardly thinking of now. I dried a dozen sweetheart roses, hung them in the corner of the door frame, forgot them until today. What were my intentions, my good intentions? Fashion another shrine to future ghosts? The cats sleep on the trunk beneath the window. We have snapshots of them as kittens, back when they were contained to this one room. Back when I could enter the chambers of my heart and roam there unafraid. Remember the games of your childhood? What they were like for you? Keep that. Keep yourselves together. All yourselves. And not yet in a flash before your eyes. Even though there's no mystery these days, no finding flowers or $10 bills pressed in the center of books, and no redemption, I'm reaching my pale hand toward you. I'm telling you stay. Not like a dog, or maybe. I mean it with all respect. Stay. Here's one about an actual dog, an actual imaginary dog. Seeing eye. The seeing eye dog comes home and lies down. He puts his paws over his snout and sighs the way his master does in his recliner after work. It's tiring being the leader. He doesn't know, after all, what the busy world means. He can't even see colors. knows only that no cars coming means forward, cars on the way means halt. How much is riding on his eyes? You never hear about dogs like him messing up, but it happens. He's heard of it. And he worries about failure daily. They've raised him to withstand distraction, but he knows they haven't thought of everything. A squirrel darting through traffic, he'll stay. Small boy with a hamburger, stay. Bitch in heat, that hardly matters. They've seen to that. But what about a vision? What if the great dog God rises up in the street before him, terrible and panting? What if it condemns him to hell for betraying his nature? This is a little poem called The Heroine. The heroine is never off to get a snack or take a nap, runs to, not from, wields a cunning weapon. She learned early on that of the girls, tomboys could be most capable. Smack balls with a bat, pop a splinter from a thumb, cause X to impact Y, X, X, Y, Y. Once she punched a boy in the nose and he stopped. Once she froze in a pose of protection and learned that stillness was a power too. Now she knows the tensile strength of patience, how to reconfigure thoughts, how to make a life begin to feel right. She can shoot a nail straight through wood and build a little box in which to keep memories that make her the sweet curves of alphabet, poems like tenderness, embers. This is an older poem called I Love the People in the Dictionary. Not the famous ones, but this guy in the S's modeling suspenders. He's balding, smiling, big. I can't tell if he knows he's the poster boy for these often elastic straps worn over the shoulder supporting trousers, or just somebody's grandpa. I hope the latter. Hope the picture was taken simply because he is loved. Same with this guy in the M's with the megaphone. He looks like my cousin Steve, who could deadpan as well as Steve Martin. Right now he's pretending to save the city from Godzilla, speaking into the funnel-like device used to direct and amplify the voice. Stay calm, fellow citizens. Keep moving and we'll all make it out of this mess alive. Steve didn't make it out alive, dying of cancer some summers ago. And Suspender Man has probably met his heart attack by now. This girl in knee pads is fine though. Pretty and perky and glowing, flying along with her inline skates and her protective covering for the knees. Here is a little poem about Emily Dickinson called Emily Plays Baseball. It's a lark, of course. She's not like this. Wears only dresses and none the color of dirt. Her brother, town boys, someone's sister, so she's not the only girl. She throws like one, though, her fingers flying open as though she has tossed a handkerchief into the air. Which she's never done, actually, coughing into them discreetly or inhaling their lavender scent. She doesn't get the chance to bat, tries to catch a few throws and does, one. And that's enough for Emily. She pads back in her everyday flats, grateful, she thinks, for the chance to try sports. She climbs the worn steps, undresses, takes a long bath, lavender again. She never writes a poem about this. I'll finish with another fairly new one a year or so ago called It's Just Me and Uncertainty Now. It's just me and uncertainty now, and wind. Yes, the warm wind is here, and stars. When a person pays to enter the quietest room on earth at Orfield Labs in Minneapolis, they don't stay long. 2 hours is the most. The sounds of their own body overwhelm them and drive them mad. This strikes me as easy, but what do I know? Here I have the wind, the little bells of crickets. I can connect the dots tonight of a few of the stars. My parents will die, my older husband will die, my bones continue to weaken unless I'm very careful. On a med for that, raloxifene. We'll keep the big guns for later, she said. It's not me alone yet, but tonight, kind of. They're all asleep as I stand in the yard, both cats in the window on guard. Maybe I will be too much for myself in the future, my lub-dub loud in the silent house. Or maybe the cats will keep me pinned to the earth, just like gravity. Gravity never uncertain. You can count on it like alcohol. So far I can count on sips of alcohol to bring a little peace and pleasantness and ease. The cats too will sicken, or I will. Entropy is also here. Entropy which does not lie. I don't mean to worry you, dear listener. I'm just tracking down how I feel, what I think. Slippery or sometimes wispy, hard to gather in what I'm about. Mostly I forget what I write each day, but turning back the pages reminds me. Is it like that with you? Can you join me? Together in the quiet room wouldn't be so bad. Thank you.
Well, I just have to say I'm having a really good time tonight. Thank you, your first three readers. I also want to thank Unity Church for providing this space to us for free, and we always take a little collection. If you have a couple of bucks to throw in a basket, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Our fourth reader, Bill McCarthy, was at the last minute unable to join us tonight, so we arranged for his wife, Danette McCarthy, to read in his stead. One book of Bill's is available on the side table also. I'm going to read his bio. I don't have yours, Danette, but I'll read Bill's. Bill McCarthy's work has appeared in a variety of publications, including the 2013 anthology Cancer Poetry Project 2, winner of Midwest Book Awards, Best Poetry Book. Trilobite Press at the University of North Texas published Past Sins, a collection of Bill's work as the 30th book in its annual series, Contemporary Poets Reading. And Breast Cancer Poem number 2 was nominated for a Pushcart Prize. Bill spent over 20 years in the field of leadership development, publishing numerous articles. He has also presented at the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern, the Carlson School at the University of Minnesota, and at leadership conferences throughout North America and Europe, consistently linking poetry and leadership. In the autumn of 2022, Grayson Books of West Hartford, Connecticut, published Bill's most recent collection of poetry, Fall Risk. Welcome, Danette.
Thank you.
And in listening to that, it reminds me of the very first time that I knew that Bill McCarthy exists in the world. I walked in barely on time to a meeting, and at the front of the room there was a gentleman opening the meeting with poetry. And I thought, well, this is a person I can probably get to know. Bill is so sad to not be here tonight. He has been working since he was invited, thank you, to this event on 9/11. He has been thinking of and working on a piece that he's not done with yet. But I thought I would share this work in progress a bit with you and take that risk. For Bill. Here we are, 9/11. There are those events which, because of our age and where we lived, we're likely to never forget exactly where we were, and with great specificity. Yes, traumatic and dramatic events, as well as exhilarating and life-affirming events, the assassination of JFK, the U.S. men's hockey team defeating Russia, Hurricane Katrina, hostages taken at the embassy in Iran. 9/11, planes crashing into buildings. 9/11, Congress united standing on the steps of our nation's Capitol, singing. And there are those personal events in each of our lives, the birth of a child or grandchild, the first time death struck close to home, the moment of first meeting a new love. I'm not likely to forget July 12th last year and suddenly finding myself face down on the Walgreens parking lot, Grand Avenue. A stroke caused part of my brain to disconnect the right side from the left side of my body. I was hospitalized and in transitional care for nearly 100 days. This very personal 9/11 has changed a lot of things. I feel like I'm in somebody else's body. I feel like I'm using somebody else's brain. I feel this is not me. My personal 9/11 has me reconfiguring expectations, learning to language differently, and wondering how to express those things I want to see happen when I cannot contribute to the outcome as I once did. This time, though, tonight is not about being a stroke survivor. It's about sharing my poetry, which I'm proud of, and thank you for inviting me to be with you this day. And instead of reading my poetry to you tonight, my wife has been gracious enough to do that for me. So, with that in mind, I thought that I would take the poems that Bill had been working on to share with you, but I also thought I would do something. You know, it's kind of every English major's dream to marry a poet. And getting to know a poet a little bit as an audience, I think to do it through poetry can be quite fun. Bill was the fourth boy born to an Irish Catholic family on the east side of St. Paul. A childhood friend I see out there right now. Thank you for being here. Gags. And his three older brothers were all teenagers when he was born. So they became like big brothers and uncles and stand-in dads. And Bill wanted to share these two sets of poems tonight with you. One set about nature and another about relationships. Well, there was one of his brothers, brother number 2, John, who Bill wrote this poem for at the time of creating a eulogy for John. And I think it really helps set the stage why the poetry of nature matters to my husband. Return to Innisfree. I remember her warning, "Let your brother be." But I'd pad up the steps anyway and slip into his bedroom before dawn, a waggling pup drawn to the scent of last night's adventure that clings to the sleeping hound. I remember the itch and odor of army surplus wool as we rumble home from hunting in his mid-50s blue Ford. A few stiffening squirrels and rabbits bump in the trunk with a scuffed leather dop kit, spare socks, and an orphaned t-shirt, all corroborating evidence of his portable bachelor life. Mostly we ride in silence. There is little to be said. The drone of the heater fan draws me out over sleepy shoals into the deeper water where pieces of this day settle through layer after layer, anchoring more securely than memory itself. I stand on my weathered cedar deck, nursing a coffee in the pre-dawn haze, too little light to waken sleeping colors. 6 small birds are silhouetted on the skeleton of a jack pine over 50 yards away. The angle of a tail, the way one fidgets on a branch, the shrug of another as it preens. Like the gardener who knows his plants from their first shoots, or the mother who easily picks her child from scores of tiny bodies on a beach, thanks to him, I can identify each bird without benefit of sound or color. Tell me, what is worth knowing? Is the stock market a better investment of one's attention than these wisps of birds? what do we take the time to see? He would not fail to notice the broad arc of the red-tailed hawk as it comes to settle silently on a highway pole like some feathered samurai. Awareness of these things will not earn you a living, but when you make it to Innisfree, in that afterlife, they will reawaken conversations of the heart as water laps with low sounds by the shore. Thanks. That's Bill's tribute to his brother John, who I never had the privilege to meet. Now here I think I've got 4 very quick poems, maybe there's 5, that are all within this theme of nature. River Vespers. Egrets drift in over the darkening river, lighting reverently on bent branches, white prayer flags that spread blessings to all beings. And here's the water strider. What occupies us day to day is so small. What truly matters is a mystery. We are like the water strider skating on water's skin, its world a mere molecule deep, separated from unknowable depths that fall off cool and quiet, ageless and enormous, just beneath it. I believe it is water, not dust, to which we shall return, and only then to learn what has truly mattered since the beginning. Here's morning at the feeder. An unruly gang of blue jays rummages for oilers in the snow beneath the feeder, coming and going, hopping and swooping back to the nearby birches. A hairy woodpecker travels up and down the post like an old-fashioned wooden toy on a string. The nuthatch clowns upside down on the feeder box because it can. All the white black-capped chickadees fill in behind the others until an incoming jay explodes onto the speckled snow, sending chickadees outward like feathered shrapnel. And then rain. The rain stopped hours ago, but orphaned drops find their way leaf to leaf. Birches and oaks. Birch trees live too close together for my liking, so straight and smooth, so much the same. You just know they're hiding something beneath that papery alabaster skin. I'll take an oak any day. It has the good sense to demand some breathing room. Like sturdy Norwegians, oaks keep their counsel, but when they burn, it goes long and hot. Too bad so much is left unsaid before the saw. Now this next one is one of his very most favorite poems, and it actually serves as a transition to a few other poems that are about relationships. It's called Willie the Bat. He and I have never actually met, but I know Willie from his work. He processes the evening's insects, leaving a neat mound of discards like kernels of black rice on the concrete slab near the front door. Ours is an easy alliance. He's the night shift, I'm the day. He's production, I'm maintenance. Maybe one of these days we'll meet at shift change, share a smoke and pictures of our kids, swap stories about the stupidity of management. And maybe, just maybe, I'll suggest we take in a ball game on his night off. But we know it won't happen. You know, family and all. Still, it's good to have a coworker you can really count on, night after night after night. Okay, and then just a couple of poems that are, again, a tribute to relationship. And Bill has told me over our years together that saying yes is one of the most important things. That people can sometimes just surprise you. Accepting invitations, saying yes to rides in the car, to Woodstock. He missed that one, didn't he, Lauren? He missed that one. Here's one that is called Those People. Where do they come from? Those special people who appear and because of who they are, change our lives forever. The ones who always expected our best and made outrageous requests. They didn't seem to know we weren't as talented as the rest, but we just couldn't let them down. The ones who invited us to play when we were about to walk away because we felt we didn't fit, but they said, stay. And we played, and before too long, we did belong. Be sure the list includes the ones we told when we were afraid and feeling cold. They touched us, smiled, and said, you'll do the right thing, kid. And when the day came, we did. They're small in number but big in heart, and each has played such an important part in who we are and who we will become. How they found us, it's hard to say, so let's just be grateful it turned out that way. Bill's firstborn child, he has a son and a daughter. His daughter Maura is quite amazing, and I refer to her as my bonus daughter. And her arrival on the scene in Bill's life when it comes to some people was really important and life-changing, like firstborns can be for us, right? And this one's called Indra's Net. Dreams drift down and settle like dew on your rumpled comforter decorated in blue ponies trailing long, wavy manes. A pulsing chorus of snowy crickets rides in bareback on breezes of fresh cut grass as your blonde lashes flutter like small night moths. I have spent so long thinking like an island, moaning a single note, pushing away from being held. Your presence has lowered my hands and opened my heart to all that connects each of us. Like the intricate net of the Hindu god Indra, ruler of the heavens, it stretches infinitely in all directions. Threads cross threads, and at every juncture, a jewel, each of our lives reflected in all others. Well, this poem was written for near the retirement of a really beloved co-worker of Bill's. He spent the last 25 years or so in leadership coaching. In fact, Maura called him the boss whisperer. I didn't know that. He used it in eulogizing his brother Tom, and I just thought this was about Tom. But this poem, I'm not sure Bill intended to include this, but it means a lot to me. Leaving. We have known for months that you were leaving. You turned your light down slowly from bright white to just a glow, so we wouldn't notice the coming change. To fit a new May tag down the basement steps, my father once removed the hand railing and never replaced it. For years, my hand would close on empty air as I reached for its support, especially in the dark. Your fine light, your steady voice, despite your best efforts, we knew we're leaving, especially in the dark. So next week will be the 9th wedding anniversary for Bill and myself. I had vowed I would never be married again, but then because we had been friends for so long, I dared go ahead and say yes on a wonderful 3-week excursion to Ireland. I think he just went ahead and knew that someone wouldn't say no in Ireland. And for our wedding, he wrote this poem, the wedding poem. Falling in love is easy. Staying in love can be a challenge. You have to let go again and again. Never stop listening. Keep being curious. Most people give up and leave. Many give up and stay. The successful ones, they accept that love is a practice. They bend, but do not break. And when the time comes, they place body and soul into a crucible to willingly become a new version of themselves beyond what either could have imagined. On Bill's Facebook page, there are 3 things that he talks about being devoted to: reading, writing, and running. As a stroke survivor, a man who loves to run can no longer run. He is working really hard at mobility. I'm very proud of him. He's learning to write differently. Luckily, he can read well again. For the first few months, it was difficult. Bill said to me just a few days ago, "Are you still a poet if you're just reading your old poems and maybe not doing so much writing?" And I said, "You are a poet. You will find new ways." So I'm going to close with an important poem of Bill's and my own urging to each of you and to my husband to trust each foot to find the next flat stone. Do not wait. Whatever your art form is, please. This poem is called Purpose. Just keep walking. Trust each foot to find the next flat stone already beneath it. Your newfound path, it has been waiting patiently for a lifetime or more. Thank you.
Well, what a night. Thank you, Danette. Please stay. We're done for the evening of formal stuff, but you can stick around and mingle with one another and take a look at the books on the table and talk with our writers that have presented this evening. If you'd like to keep the evening going, often several of us head over to Sweeney's, which is anyway, that it's out there somewhere on Dale, just south of Selby. There's a back room there where we gather. Next month's reading is on October 9th, and the 4 readers are Emily August, Kate Kaiser, Deborah Stone, and Davy Gray. We hope that we will see you then, and thank you for coming tonight. Final round of applause for our readers tonight.